I'm Ziegler, the Alpha Dog, and I've got one tremendous broadcast for you today. Today, I'm doing a dual project with a trainer that I've been watching all over social media. Tim Kintz. Hello, Tim.
How's it going, Jim? Glad to be here, man.
Having the best day of my life, and we're going to talk about closing and negotiating. Now, I
Right.
notice that's one of your subjects. That's something that you are really strong. What are we going to talk about today, Tim?
I think what it really means, I think right now, car business is coming back to the car business. Competition's back in the fold, and customers have more buying power. Inventories are picking up. We've got a lot of people in the industry that have either not been in it pre-pandemic or, face it, the last 2+ years we haven't had to negotiate with customers, and you use it or lose it. It's easy to lose your mojo when it comes to closing and negotiating. So the thing is, for some people, I think a lot of what we'll talk about will be kind of a refresher, reminder, get them back on track. And for some people, it may be the first time they've heard some of the ideas we have on closing and negotiating. But really, no matter what we talk about, it's find your takeaway and do something about it.
Well, the biggest myth in the car business is that if you give the customer a reasonable price, that they'll accept a reasonable price and then they'll go with it. But the truth of the matter is, everybody wants to negotiate. No matter
Human
no matter how much you say you are one price, you give them your very best price, and then the first thing they say is that the best you can do?
it's human nature. It's have you ever offered somebody something? Say, hey, I'll give you $500 for that, and they say, okay, I'll take it. What's the first thing you think when they say, okay, I'll take it?
But I didn't know. I didn't offer enough. I didn't.
Exactly.
My offer wasn't high enough.
Yeah, or I could have saved more. I'm thinking, okay, let me check with my wife, make sure she's all right with me getting it, and I'll let you know. And then I'm coming back to them tomorrow and offering them 450 or 425 for it. It's just the way it is. You want to feel like you're getting a good deal, right? And that's customers. That's where they're going to be more moving forward. That's the deal. They got to feel like they're getting a good deal, and good deal to me and you is different than what a good deal is to most customers, right? A good deal is not
You
a
know,
number; it's a feeling, it's a perception.
it's amazing. There's a dealer in Illinois, Lynn Thompson, Springfield, and Lynn Thompson. I told him 20 years ago that I can sell 30%, 40% of his cars at sticker or above, and he couldn't believe that that was even possible. And of course, I wouldn't be telling the story if we didn't achieve it. I've got a lot of stories where I failed, but all my stories understand. If I tell a story, I won.
It's, I think one is really closing and negotiating. It's really mindset, right? It's your attitude, it's your belief, it's how you approach it. You got to believe from the top of your head to the bottom of your toes. If that customer does not buy your product from you right now, they're making the biggest mistake of their life. They packed up their family and drove 30 minutes to get to your dealership on a Saturday. Do you think they really enjoy doing that? I mean,
No, no, no.
I'll ask my kids what they're going to do this weekend, and I can guarantee that none of them are going to say, "Let's go to a car dealership and walk around." It's not going to happen.
Oh my God! Especially on a Saturday or Sunday while football's happening.
And there's going to be a whole lot of sales prevention people out there and not salespeople out there. And they're going to turn a lot of buyers into shoppers if we don't do the right things. And, I think the good news is we still have a lot of orders coming in. We're still making some money, but it's that trickle effect. And I was reading something from a guy from UBS Financial, and his prediction was within 3 to 6 months that the car business is going to be in an oversupply issue again and not an undersupply issue. And that tidal wave of profits is going to come to an end. So that just means we're going to have to earn more, right? We're going to have
We're,
to,
we're going to have to compete, Tim.
yes,
You're going to be in competition with another dealer. It's not who has the unit; it's who has the cheapest unit in the customer's mind. And it's going to be. I've always said, full price is a fair price.
as long as you believe
That
that.
and you have to believe that. I'm not cheating anybody. I'm wearing a very expensive watch. I mean, but I defy you to go on the internet and find out what the invoice on a Rolex watch is.
Yeah. Well, because they go up in value because it's perceived value, right? And they don't
Exactly.
just blow it all out. I always talk about in the book Frictionless that I did. I have what I call the golden rules of negotiating. All right, I think that's as good as any place to start. And the
I've
number
got
one
your books. I've got your books.
number one
I
rule
read them. I read them. I learned from you.
on page 215, number one rule: negotiating is optional. You don't have to negotiate. And if nothing else, over the pandemic time, you now learned that you can sell a car for sticker. But there's a lot of people out there that don't know that making $1,100 commission isn't normal on selling a Honda Accord, right? That's not how it is. You have to earn that, but you have to believe that it's optional. That's rule one, just like you're talking about.
Where can they buy your books, Tim?
You can go to kintzgroup.com in our shop, or it's on Amazon.
Fantastic. I've read both of your books, and I learned a lot. But the first thing about negotiating is you can't start out with a discount. I've gone in thousands of dealerships, and I've audited thousands of worksheets, and the very first pass that the sales desk manager made was a discount.
Yeah, yeah, that's rule 5 for me, that you have to have built-in removable objections, meaning you have to put things in a negotiation that you can afford to take out. When you
I
ask for
learned
six,
that from Jackie Cooper. Jackie
yeah,
Cooper taught me that
when me and
it's
my
got
wife
to.
buy rental houses, we put in removable objections. We say we want $3,000 paint allowance, and we want a $2,000 fence allowance, and we add all these things in, and really all we care about is getting that price. But we have to have built-in wins, built victories for a customer, and that's why you ask for 20% down. That's why we showed them a 48-month payment, because it's the best way to get their vehicle. Maybe not their way, but it's the best way to get their vehicle. And then I can always give, and have wins. But so often we think that having 9 payment options is going to close a deal. And that just means we become offer presenters, not negotiators.
That old payment matrix doesn't work.
Yeah,
When you give them a whole matrix of down payments and payments, they always take the lowest payment and zero down.
yeah.
Always.
I always believe that the first pencil is to get all you can and take what you can get. Right? Your job is to go out there and get the most for yours, least for theirs, biggest down, biggest payment. Because then the second pencil is where I get creative. Second pencil is where I can give them the payment they want with a higher down. I can give them the down payment they want with a higher payment, or I can give them less out of pocket with lower payments on a lease option. And now that's when I start giving choices, or total cost of ownership closes, showing them what their total cost of ownership is on their vehicle, not just what they pay per month to the bank. It's the first pencil. I believe 80% of your negotiation is determined by how well you do the first pencil. And if you blow up on that first pencil and just come out and show the numbers, and the customer says, I won't do that, and you say, what will you do? And they come back and say zero down at $300 a month, and you say, if I can get it to you for zero down, $300 a month, carrying your business, and you run back to your manager, that's not negotiating. That's just presenting offers. That's like a rabbit running back and forth from your office to their office, dropping price. That's not negotiating. That's called running back and forth from your office to their office, dropping price. And
I've had customers say to me, Tim, look, I don't want any of that back and forth stuff between you and the manager. Okay, sir, are you prepared to pay full price? No. Well, then you just created some back and forth stuff.
yeah, well,
I was happy with the first figure. You're the one sent my salesman back.
Yeah, it's just called their bluff. Look, I don't want to play any games either. Just write me a check for $49,997 plus tax, and we're good to go. Oh, well, I'm not paying that price. Oh, you got to start somewhere. Well, how close to $49,900 you thinking? Maybe $49,700. So now it's the power of suggestion too. Not what would you want to spend. It's how close to $49,700 were you thinking, or $49,900? Were you thinking $49,700? Right? You should always be throwing numbers out and following the law of disappearing discounts. as you discount it. It should be less and less and less each time. So subconsciously, I'm seeing the discounts going away. Maybe it's not conscious, but subconsciously, that's what customers are seeing.
You know, when the first rule of negotiation in Ziegler's world is you must make the first proposal to the customer and not accept the first proposal from the customer. The customer must see your number first. Very important. The customer sees your number before you hear their number. Because if you start listening to their number before you ever make a proposal to the customer, I never call it an offer. It's a proposal. Before I make the first proposal to the customer, and the customer says, "What's your best price?" And my manager says, "No problem. I'll get you all the information you need to make an intelligent and informed decision." But my manager would prefer we picked out a specific unit and drove it before we discussed the figures. I'll get you everything you want to know, the price, the payment, the interest rate, the alternative lease payment, anything you want to know. But we do require you select and drive a vehicle, so we have a specific vehicle we're working with. Fair enough? Is that fair, Mr. Customer? Yeah, that's fair. Great. Okay, Mr. Customer, my manager says the market value of the car you're purchasing today. First rule of negotiating is tell them they're buying a car. The market value of the vehicle you are purchasing today is $25,653. Now, the manufacturer's giving you a $2,000 rebate. I've already included that in the deal. And that leaves us an adjusted sale price. And now, Mr. Customer, besides that, we've looked at our professional buyers. I never say used car manager. Our professional buyer looked at the car you're selling to us. Oh, you're not trading the car in, sir. You're selling us one. We didn't wake up today wishing we had another used Volvo on the lot. Trust me. We don't send our buyer to the auction to buy a piece of crap like that. I understand. we're doing this. We're doing this to help you out, Mr. Customer. This is a courtesy. We buy your car to assist you in buying ours. So our professional buyer looked at your car, and based on cars we bought and sold recently in this market, we're willing to buy your car today somewhere between this figure and this figure. And Mr. Customer, as you know, that's one of my favorite closing phrases, Tim, as you know. Because if you admit you don't know what I'm about to say, you'll appear to be a dumbass. Mr. Customer, as you know, the banks in this market, including Ford Credit, would like to see, I never say require, don't say the banks require a down payment. That's illegal. The banks would like to see as much as 20% cash down for preferred financing. For preferred finance, I can get you other financing, but preferred financing, the banks would like to see 20% down. In your case, we'd like to get a check from you today for $5,659, which will make your estimated monthly investment, not payment investment, estimated monthly investment somewhere between 601 and 621, depending on your personal credit. I'll figure that up right away. Mr. Customer, write me that check for $5,631. I'll get everything started.
Well, really, what it all goes back to is what you just said that started it off was, and that's the golden rule number 3 is whoever starts a negotiation has the advantage, right? That's really
bingo.
Really, you know, look at anything we're selling, right? Whoever starts a negotiation has the advantage. So really, what we have to do is really back up from the beginning when a customer comes on the lot, right? And think about, okay, how often do we get in a price conversation in those first 5, 10, 15 minutes? Things like, and it's very innocent and it's easy to ask, but how much you want to spend a month so I can show you the right car? How much down were you guys going to put? Well, any customer, what numbers are they going to give you? The highest that they would do if they had to, or the least that they're.
No, wait a second. I think you and I are teaching two different things there, and both of them are right. You're asking the salesperson to qualify the down payment.
I don't want them to. That's what I'm talking about. That happens so often in that first 15 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
Leak into that price conversation. And then it goes back to whoever starts the negotiation has the advantage. Well, if I ask that customer in the first 10 or 15 minutes and find out they want $300 a month at zero down, they just started a negotiation. So now they have the advantage all the way through. And the customer's thinking, what are you, an idiot? You asked me on the line how much I want to spend a month. I told you zero down, $300 a month. Why are you showing me $678 with $7,400 down? And we wonder why we don't have credibility. And then any trust we gained, we just lost once we show them that first.
We are not being customer unfriendly. I want to. You never need to lie, cheat, sneak, deceive, or misrepresent to sell cars. Understand, everything we're doing here has integrity. Everything we're doing has integrity. Understand that. But you know, one of the stupidest things I see dealers do, Tim, and I hope you agree with this, is the fact finding sheet. Mr. Customer, what's your monthly budget? That is the dumbest, stupidest asked question you ever ask a customer. The stupidest question you ever ask a customer. What's your budget? What's your budget? They're going to tell you the highest figure they've had in mind. You think they're going to give you the highest figure they're thinking about? What's your budget? What a dumbass question that is. Well, how much money were you intending on putting down? That's the stupidest question, second stupidest question.
But it's funny that there'll be people on this podcast that'll put in the notes stuff that no, I always ask the customer how much they want to spend a month, how much down they have, because I don't want to waste their time. It's no matter what the customer tells you, they're always going to lowball you. And then when we come back with a number, we got credibility issues when we come back at that $678 a month, and they told you $300 a month. Because that's their job, is to lowball you.
Exactly. They told the sales, and they scared the salesperson.
Yeah, it's the path of least resistance we think we're taking. But what happens? That customer comes on the lot. That most of the time, customers are excited. They're emotional, as I talked about. You always, it's learning to leverage emotion, right? Customer comes on, they're excited, they're getting a new car, they're just trying to decide, do we want to go black on black or do we want the tan interior? And when they first get there, my job is to do one thing, is to get their emotions and excitement as high as I can, as long as I can, so I can leverage that emotion. Because no matter what, when I get to what I call quadrant 4, the negotiation, they become more logical. It's just how it is. It's the numbers. But if I did a good job getting that customer's emotion peaked, they're not going to be 100% logical. Those emotions, the ether we've always talked about, is going to carry them through. And then if I do a good job in negotiation, that's the highest emotional point of the sale, right? When they're burning gas and busting bugs. But what we're talking about is when they first come on the lot, they're excited, they're emotional. If I go into that guest sheet, interview sheet, fact-finding sheet.
Guest sheets, what a dumbass thing that is.
But as soon as I start doing that in that first 10 minutes, I take a customer that was emotional and excited here, I drop them down to being logical, because now they're thinking numbers, not thinking about the car. They're not creating, they're not taking mental ownership. And now I got to try to get their emotions back up, but they're never going to be peaked. It's never going to get to the highest point. So really, to be a great negotiator, it's understanding how to leverage emotion and logic throughout the course of that car deal.
You know, Tim, there is a book in French. It's called "The Left Hand is the Dreamer," and the left hand is the dreamer. Says that the right brain controls the left hand. And so the right brain, and believe it or not, this is scientific. The right brain is the emotional part of the brain. That's where dreams happen. That's the visual part of the brain. And the left brain is the logical brain. I don't want the customer in their left brain. I want the customer in their visual, emotional mind. The left hand is the dreamer. That's the right brain. I want the customer in a right brain visual. And visual mind has no words. Visual mind has only excitement. I want the customer in their visual mind. I want them to be visualizing themselves, owning, enjoying. Before I became a sales trainer, I was a Dale Carnegie instructor in the 70s. And create a picture of your client in their mind, of them using and enjoying and benefiting from your product. That's right out of Dale Carnegie from the 30s.
Well,
create a visual picture.
Customers, the goal is to get a customer to take mental ownership before they take physical or financial ownership, right? So when that customer comes in, my job, so I've moved the old school silent walk around that I was taught by Jackie B. Cooper in 1990 up in Anchorage, Alaska. And I trained it for 13 years with my old company and went back into dealership and realized we're doing that at the end of the deal. The most stressful customers are at the highest emotional point of the sale at that point, after the demo. So now let's walk around the car, kick their teeth in, kick the car, beat the car up just before we're getting ready to go into the most stressful part of the car deal, the negotiation, and then make the customer sit there for 45 minutes while the appraisal gets done. So I realized that's not logical, and we moved the trade walk to the beginning of the sale. It's a pattern interrupt. Walk their car up front. When you walk that customer's car early on, you'll learn everything you need to know on how to paint that vehicle in the customer's life. My example is when you're walking around that car, the customer's car, in the first 15 minutes, it's a blank canvas. And now as you're walking around, you're seeing they got the kids' soccer gear, baseball gear, real estate signs, bumper stickers. You're painting that customer. You're creating a painting of the customer's life, asking them, what do you like best about the car that you want on your next car? What do you want different on your next car that you didn't have on this, right? Open-ended questions. They're painting that picture of their life. Now when I go do my presentation, now my job is to paint my vehicle into their life that I just painted in that first 15 minutes of the deal. And the one thing I always tell guys is, if you're having a challenge in that last 15 minutes of the car deal, the negotiation, it's not the last 15 minutes of the deal that you're having a challenge with. It's the first 15 minutes. The first 15 minutes is what's going to make the last 15 minutes frictionless. But it's a pattern interrupt. It's turning the customer into the salesperson early on, and that customer starts selling the crap out of their car to you. Their mind's not on your car. It's not on discounts.
When that customer pulls up on the lot, Tim, I teach salespeople to say, Mr. Customer, great car. Are you considering selling us this today as part of a car deal? And then I want them to start walking around it, and the customer will walk with you. Are you consider selling us this car today?
Yeah.
We'd love to have this car. I mean, I want them to believe we want this car badly.
They just open up the CRM, take a picture of the VIN, scan the VIN in, put the miles in. It's all there. Managers can do the appraisal while you're on the demo. You got the CRM. You're putting any notes that you need to for the customer as you're walking their car. And I always teach the guys to say, are you adding a vehicle or are you looking to replace one, right? That word trade is a negative word.
No. Selling us one, they love to sell us their car.
Everybody wants to sell something. Nobody wants to be sold. But by walking around their car, you're able to keep their emotions, their excitement going. So now when I go to my presentation demonstration, which we haven't had to do presentations demonstrations because we haven't had inventory. We've been selling order units. They've sold the day they get in. Now we got to get that mojo back. I tell salespeople that once I learned that about that customer, now when I'm walking around the car, I don't need to do a 6-point walk around with 3 fabs and all that bull crap, spending 45 minutes doing a walk around. I believe that time is the new commodity, and we need to speed the velocity of the deal up without sacrificing the integrity of selling. And if I know that, like me, I want something that looks cool, it's got some cool features on the inside, and it's got a decent engine. I don't care about how much it tows. I don't care about the suspension. I'm not taking it off-road. If I'm off-road, something bad's happening. I ain't pulling anything, so don't tell me about the torque on it, what it's going to pull. Talk about what I care about. It's not about the volume of features you cover. It's about the impact on mental ownership. It's like a good real estate agent will walk you and your family through the house. They'll have the kids picking out their rooms. You're picking out colors and curtains and furniture. And when they do a good job, a good real estate agent will have that family walking out of that house, and they've mentally already moved their furniture into that house, and they haven't even put a freaking offer in on it yet. That's what creating mental ownership is. And that's one of the most unused, underutilized part of being a great negotiator is how do you get the value higher than the price? The internet, that raised the cost. My job as a professional salesperson is to raise the value. It's one of the other golden rules is whoever appears to care least about a deal wins. Meaning that customer needs to want to buy my car more than I want to sell it to them. And we've proven that over the last 2 years, because these customers have wanted to buy our cars more than we wanted to sell it, and they paid whatever we've asked for it. But that's what we're going to have to be able to create. How do I get them licking the paint off the car? How do I get that customer wanting that car more than I want to sell it? Not that I don't want to sell it, but I want them wanting it more than I want to sell it. And it's an art, and we can get good at it. It's just going to take mental shifts and lots of practice, man. And that's really setting the negotiation up. We can talk about negotiating all we want, but if that first 25, 30, 40 minutes of a car deal is not done right, there's no magic bullet.
Once you present the figures and the customer says, see, I close on the down payment. I don't ever close on the payment. The payment, we put a 48-month payment on the first offer to the customer, first proposal. But that, Mr. Customer, as you know, most of the banks in this market, including Ford Credit, would like to see as much as 20% down for preferred and preferable finance. So I'd like to get a check from you today for $5,693. I haven't got that much money. I can't pay that. So the customer just had a blood pressure blip. I don't want them to have a blood pressure attack. Mr. Customer, relax. The banks don't require 20% down. That's just what they'd like to see in an ideal circumstance. I can certainly obtain financing for you with less money down. If you didn't get any other words that I've said today, I can certainly obtain financing with less down payment. How close to that can you come up with?
I think really one that's real important, pressure relief. When I do numbers, our car, you're trading and there's off initial investment of 8,700, push monthly investment 676. You're okay here and wrap it up. That customer says you're crazy. I don't have 800 down. You have that ability to come back. No big deal. It's not a requirement. Better for you. More you put down less finance, more you say net flexibility you're going to have when you want to, not when the bank says you can. So keep that in mind. How close to 8,700 can you come? Maybe 7,500. But it's the art of. It's really the power of suggestion. I think that it's be very careful just saying how close to 8,700 can you come and shut down. It's how close to 8,700 were you thinking maybe $7,000? Put that number up, because remember, I'm trying to pull out their top number. When they walked out of the house, they said they'd love to get away with zero, but if they had to, they'd do 2,500 down. My goal on that first pencil is to pull 2,500 down out of you, so I can negotiate from your top numbers up on the second pencil. And it's
exactly.
But like you said, always be prepared to release. You got pressure points, right, throughout the entire car. Pressure point when you go out and read a customer. Pressure point if you ask them if they want to go on a demo. Pressure point when you get a commitment to sit down to work that car deal. You're going to love your new car. You want to title it one name or two, right? That's a pressure point. Pressure point is when you show them that first pencil, and it could be an atomic pencil sometimes, but it's all how you set that thing up. And you have to believe that the best way to get their new vehicle is 20% down in 48 months. That's where it comes from here. They may not do that, but my job is to show you the best way to get your vehicle. Then we'll figure out how to fit it in your budget.
So when customers say, I can't afford that, that's where most salespeople have a problem. Because I'm going to say something to you, Tim, that I've said to many, many salespeople, thousands and thousands. The problem we have today is, number one reason deals are blown is fear of the money. The sales manager and the salesperson, both, the desk manager, afraid of the money. And why are salespeople afraid of the money? Let me point something out to you that you may or may not have thought about. Salespeople are afraid of the money because they personally couldn't afford the car they're selling.
Yeah, I think that's a big reason. I think
they couldn't buy the car themselves. They couldn't afford that payment. They can't buy a $30,000 car, and they don't know how the customer could do it.
Yeah, and some of them, they don't trust that they did a good enough job and haven't earned the right to ask for the money, right? That's the number one or number two rule I have of the golden rules is negotiate out of inspiration, not desperation. So often we're more afraid of losing a deal than we are inspired to make the deal, right? We play prevent defense, if you're a football fan. That prevents you from winning, or at least covering the spread. And stop going in there being afraid you're going to lose the deal. Go in and be inspired to make the deal. Have a spark in your eyes, spring in your step, smile on your face, and go in there and help the customer fit this vehicle in their budget. You've done your job last 45 minutes. You've earned the right. They should trust you at this point. Now it's just showing them the best way to get it and then figure out how to.
Don't sell out of desperation. Did you say that?
I did. Sell out of inspiration, not desperation.
Guess what? There are, and I'm not going to get into the specifics, but there are people from other countries and other cultures who are much better at negotiating than our salespeople. I'm not going to get into who they are, where they come from, but there are people from other cultures and other countries that scare the hell out of salespeople. One of these people pulls up on the lot, and there'll be 4 old farts sitting on a golf cart, and there's 4 puffs of smoke like the Roadrunner cartoon. They're gone. I mean, you can clear out that golf cart in a hurry if one of those people pulls up. And those people, they do not believe they've got a good deal till you let them leave.
Yeah.
People from those cultures.
That's what I said on one of the golden rules is whoever cares least about a deal wins. It's the best deal you ever got, the one you never bought sometimes, right? When you walked away from something, or at least appeared that you were going to be willing to walk away. And but again, I don't blame anybody for maybe not being good at negotiating. I don't blame anybody because they're scared. It's human nature to fear the unknown. And
fear of the money.
I think it's lack of training. The art of negotiating started to really disappear at the 2008 recession. And we lost, I mean, we were in desperation mode. We took any deal we could. We didn't want to see a FedEx truck pull up on the lot because that may be a note saying they're canceling your franchise at that time. And we didn't ask for all the money at that time, if you remember. And we lost a big chunk of the negotiation skills. And then with the pandemic, we haven't had to negotiate because everything's been sticker price. And the cool thing is, to me, negotiating was always the funnest part of a car deal, if you're good at it. And that's all my managers ever cared about training on. We sat around and worked our worksheets when nothing was going on. I think we were better managers before the internet because we had to spend time with our people.
And, you know, the internet is just another showroom, and it's just whether I can be talking to BDC agents easily now as I am talking to frontline salespeople. Yep. BDC agents also need to learn these negotiation skills. And the customer starts the negotiation. We don't. That is the most misunderstood thing. Well, we're trying to negotiate with them. No, we're not. The customer comes in expecting to negotiate, no matter how good a price you gave them. I mean, I was working with some Saturn stores back in the 90s, and Saturn, we don't negotiate. And I said, well, what about you don't negotiate at all? And he said, well, we wiggle on the trade. I cracked up. We wiggle on the trade. But that's not, they didn't want to call it negotiating, but they wiggle on the trade.
Yeah, it's just really practicing. There's 4 rules to holding gross, I always say. Rule 1, hold gross. Rule 2, hold gross. Rule 3, hold gross. Rule 4, if you can't hold gross, sell the car. That's the problem is we're going to start this race to the bottom again and jump to rule 4 right away and just sell the damn car. It's going to be the mindset.
Well, most salespeople today are not paid on gross. Most salespeople today are paid on units. The pay plan changed a lot of negotiating skills.
And then some stores have, but some stores still do. But and then we wonder why, if that's what we're doing. Then we wonder why gross sucks and we ain't make any money on it because it's like, okay, the coaches have the goal of winning the game. The players just have a goal of rushing for 100 yards. He doesn't care if they win the game or not. It's the coaches and the players have 2 totally different goals, and we wonder why that we're not winning the game. We have to all work together towards one common goal. Volume is your job. Gross determines how well you do it. Bottom line, volume, you're supposed to sell a lot of cars. Gross is determined how well you're selling those cars. And that's something we always got to remember.
Well, the manufacturer discourages gross. The manufacturer discourages gross, which is the other stumbling block.
Yeah, bullshit. bullshit, because as soon as they come out with a $7,500 tax credit on the Inflation Reduction Act, or whatever the hell it was called, the manufacturer raised their prices of their trucks $7,500.
They
they
sure
love
did.
growth. They love growth. They just don't
They
want
just
us
want to
making
shovel it to their side of the ledger.
Oh, hell
So-
yeah. But that's why we got to be more creative than ever at making money, because there's margin compression. And we got to be more creative and better. We got to be selling the flashing brake lights, and we got to be selling, we got a thing called Asset Pro, where it's guaranteed, it gives them a trade voucher for when they come back to the dealership for selling the environmental packages and stuff. We have to get creative on how can we make
Sell
more.
to the customer's visual mind.
Yep.
Sell to their emotional mind. Don't sell
gonna
to
get
their
that.
logical mind.
You're going to see accessory departments and everything starting to come back now that competition is going to be there and margin compression is going to happen. So
Well,
really,
you and I both hung around with Jackie B. Cooper. I mean, that was the one common thread that you and I have. You know, we both hung with Jackie B. I knew Jackie Cooper real well as a business friend. I didn't know him as a personal friend as such, but he was in Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta. He and I had spent a lot of time together, and he was my inspiration for getting in the sales training business.
Yeah, here's what I'll tell all you guys, anybody out there that's a salesperson and a manager. I think as managers, we got to remember, we got to get our mojo back too. We haven't had to take TOs and go in and close a whole lot of deals, other than going in and saying, hey, if you guys don't buy this car, somebody's going to be here in 2 hours to buy it. That's been our closes in the last 2 years. We got to practice. We need to role play and practice with each other and work on the initial presentation of numbers, right? Present to defend. Present your numbers to defend your numbers. Make, like you said, one thing that I think was critical, I hope everybody took a note of, is the negotiation. The goal is, it's not going to happen 100% of the time, but the goal is, like you said, Jim, is the negotiation funnels through down payment. Price and trade is your money. If you discount the car $500, you just gave that customer your ATM card and the PIN number and said, here, go take $100 out of my checking account. So don't bitch about your gross stuff, because every time relate that discount to what that does to your commission voucher. But it all funnels through down payment. Down payment affects payment. Payment does not affect down payment, right? And everything in that negotiation, you want a big number because I want to negotiate with their money.
The last thing the salesperson says to the customer when presenting the figures is, write me a check for $5,671. That's the last thing they say. And the customer says, I don't have that kind of money. And you want to take that off? Sir, no problem. Here, listen to the words. No problem. Oh, I don't have that. No problem. The banks don't require 20%, but that's what they would ideally like to see. That's what they advertise in the TV commercials. If you could read the small print quick enough, that they advertise 20% down. They would like to see that, but they don't require that. I can certainly get you financing with less money down. How close to 5681? How much do you feel you're going to be short? How much do you feel you're going to be short? How close to that can you come up with?
Yep, and then suggest a number. We're thinking more like $5,000. That's the idea of suggesting a number. I think really it's understand the goals of each pencil, right? That first pencil, like we said, get all you can and take what you can get. That's it. Your job is to go out there, spark in your eyes, spring in your step, smile on your face, present your numbers, get the biggest down, most for yours, least for theirs, and biggest payment you can. And then
down payment is the key to profitability. That's the one thing. Down payment makes deals happen, and salespeople don't get that. They don't get that down payment makes deals happen. It makes banks finance, it gets you a better tier level, gets you a lower interest rate, puts more gross in the deal. You've got to understand that down payment makes deals happen.
2 words that are going to be back in the business. They already starting are, but they're going to be even more: negative equity.
Oh my gosh.
Over the last 2 years, we've been able to tell a customer, hey, I tell you what, you need $2,000 more down. So let's do this. Come back next week. Your car will be worth $2,000 more, and then we'll be fine, because the values were going up like crazy. It's hell. I just bought a Hummer. I got that Hummer EV1, that electric Hummer. I got it for 150 grand. I've got people sending me messages saying, "Hey, I'll buy it for 190." The offers I'm getting on that thing are insane. I'm not going to sell it right now, but things don't go up in value. It's cash is king. It's negative equity. You're going to have customers buried. Not to mention, you sold cars to people used cars over the last 2 years that you were selling for 50% more than the value of that vehicle in reality should have been. You were selling that 2018 Suburban for $48,000 when if it wasn't $25,000. So we're going to have a whole lot of negative equity people, and if you want to get people out of negative equity, get really comfortable with cash down, because there's only interest rates. They're going up today. I was listening to on the radio that they're going to go up 0.75 of a point again. So the buying power, we got interest rates going up, buying power goes down. There's DTI, man, debt to income. So it's going to be a math problem, and to offset that, we got to get cash down.
You got to get cash down in the deal.
I'd have to Venmo it to you. I don't remember last time I did a check.
Don't be afraid to go for the money. And
right.
There's a video online, an old school video by me back when I weighed 300 pounds before I had the cancer. There's a video online that's got over 1 million views called "How to Work a Car Deal." And it's old school. I would never teach exactly what I was teaching in that video. I can't take it down because Driving Sales and some other people have it up. I don't even own the video, but it's got over 1 million views. And I'm looking at, how to work a car deal. So from the very beginning, what the salesperson says to the customer on the lot, 90% of your customers are talking money before they get inside the building.
Yep. The deals are, we already get the deal on the lot. We'd bumper trade. Remember the old days? We'd bumper trade.
Trade, fender trade. Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Salesperson, Mrs. Salesperson, Mr. and Mrs. Salesperson, look at your feet. If there is grass or asphalt under your feet, shut the hell up.
I think really is, I'm empathetic to the lack of negotiation training that exists in our industry. It's weaker than puppy piss, what is out there. And we need, I think we need to have repeatable processes. Any successful person, successful team, anything, they have repeatable processes. And I would challenge you to, whether it's my book, Frictionless, any other book, Jim stuff, watch that video. Develop your repeatable process on the closing and negotiation phase of the sale, and then practice it. So practice it until you can't get it wrong, right? It's the old saying, amateurs practice till they get it right. Pros practice until they can't get it wrong. With negotiating, Jim, you're a great F&I trainer. Negotiation training is just like selling F&I, right? When you're selling F&I, you're selling air. You're selling negative air that you hope people never have to breathe, because that means something bad happened to their product or them. And all you have is your words, scripts, tone of inflection, body language, your reactions to objections, and you have to be prepared for all those situations. The emotion and excitement's done when you sit down to work the deal. Now it's all about you. It's mano a mano. We're a couple of Irishmen fighting in a phone booth is what it is at that point. And now we have to be able to very confidently and conversationally walk the customers through the numbers, be able to justify and bump, whether it's price, trade, payment, or down payment. We have to be able to justify and bump and make the customer feel like they win throughout the entire negotiation. And it's really not about a win-win negotiation. It's more about creating a win-win relationship, because when a good deal's a feeling, it's not a number. And when they walk away feeling they got a good deal because we had built-in wins and built-in victories, that's when you start developing that long-term relationship with that customer. And, it goes back to the old saying that we've always used, and it still stands to this day. The happiest customers are the ones that pay us the most. Why?
Because they were treated the best.
Right. If we had GoPros, like Sale Pros, that we could have everybody wear, cameras like the body cams, be scary for one. But with those customers you made a bunch of money on, chances are you followed that process really good. You clicked with them. You earned their trust. You justified the numbers. They wanted that car more than you wanted to sell it. and you followed the process, excellent. That's all we got to do with every customer. Every customer is different. That's why we have to treat them all the same and follow the process, whatever your particular process is. We can help you with it, or you can create your own. I don't care how you do it. Just get yourself great.
Now you've got an online training network, don't you?
Yes, yeah. For dealerships, we've got 500, 600, 700 videos on there. But here's what I'll tell everybody.
Is that the right URL on the screen?
Yeah, go to kintzgroup.com, and then Kintz Now's our. I like your little ticker, selling all my stuff, my online training, my books, everything.
Oh, I'm selling my stuff too. I'm selling my stuff too. So
I think I always tell guys that, you know, selling cars can be the easiest high-paying job you ever had, or it's going to be the hardest low-paying job you ever had. It's really determined by your skills. So it's your choices that you make every day. And
well, I tell salespeople, when I do a sales meeting, what did the highest paid salesman in your salesperson in your dealership make last month, man or woman? And they'll say, well, $18,000. Okay, you had one salesperson who made $18,000 last month. Yeah, we did. What did the lowest paid salesperson make last month? Okay, they made minimum wage. Okay, where are you on that food chain? Are you the $18,000 guy or gal? Or are you the minimum wage guy or gal? Are you in between? And why aren't you the $18,000? What did you had access to the same community, the same inventory, the same customers? You had the same CRM. You had all the same advantage that the $18,000 salesperson had, but you made minimum wage. So it's not the dealership, it's not the cars, it's not the community, it's you. What is it about you that we can improve?
Right. Right. Well, it's self-evaluation. I challenge everybody. They can go to kintzgroup.com also. In the shop, I have free downloads, and there's a sales evaluation in there. Download it and evaluate yourself if you're a salesperson. If you're a manager, you can evaluate each one of your salespeople. There's also a sales team evaluation for group training, and then there's a training program evaluation. There's a bunch of free downloads. You can go get the golden rules of negotiating I was talking about. There's a free download for that too. But challenge yourself, educate yourself. I think next time, Jim, I think we should kind of get into some of the specifics in the negotiation. I think right now with gas prices, I think we talk about the gas savings clauses, maintenance clauses, total cost of ownership clauses, some specifics, and really kind of the nuts and bolts of
the exact words you say to the customer. Words are your toolbox.
Right.
Words are your toolbox. Now you can go to kintzgroup.com/Kintz Now online trainings. It's on the screen right now with a dash in between. You can go and you'll see some sample videos that will show you what he's got on his online network. You can go to my own online network, and my online network is ZieglerOnDemand.com. So there is two big resources right there. Now I've got sales and management training on mine. And as Tim mentioned earlier, I set all my bones in F&I. I was a sales manager in multiple stores. I was a great general sales manager, but I set records in F&I. That's where I became super well known. My entire F&I school is on that website. My entire F&I school for free, no charge. The sponsors are paying for it. I've got paid sponsors paying for your education. ZieglerOnDemand.com, sales manager training, F&I training. I'm a management trainer. I don't consider myself a sales trainer as such. I do it, but only as an adjunct to management training. I was a record-setting sales manager, F&I manager, but I was never a record-setting salesman. I was never beaten. Nobody ever surpassed me in any dealership I was at, but I was not a world record-setting salesman by any means. So anyway, if you want to buy, the last thing I'm going to try to sell you today is my F&I book. I just rewrote that F&I book, 2021 F&I book. It takes in all of digital retailing. It takes in all of the things we're dealing with today. It's ZieglerAutofinance.com. www.ZieglerAutofinance.com. Take a shot at it.
Yeah, nice.
So, Tim, before we get off the broadcast, what have we not talked about that we can and should talk about today?
Well, I think we can go a little more into commitment, what a commitment is, how to get a commitment, benefits of working a deal with a commitment. I mean, the reality is nowadays we're going to work deals without commitments, unlike the old days. We'd walk them if they wouldn't commit. We have to be a little bit more flexible, but I think I'd love to help you guys learn and understand how to and why to get a commitment from customers. And then a little deeper, more in objections when the customer says, I want to think about it, shop around, look around, your price is too high. How do we overcome those objections so we can have another opportunity to get a commitment from the customer? And then some specifics within the negotiation on gas and maintenance and stuff like that.
I think that would be great. Now, we have another broadcast tomorrow, so we'll jump all over that one. Well, listen, Guy, this has been a heck of a great broadcast.
We'll be on time tomorrow. I had technical difficulties today. That won't happen tomorrow.
Promise?
Hey,
promise?
Yes, I promise. I'll have this studio set up, but then we'll have the other one ready to go too. But one thing I wanted to let everybody know, the cool thing about having us both on here and us being able to talk through some scripts and tips and ideas is how you say stuff is a little different than how I say stuff. The principle's the same on what we talk about. The words, the tone and inflection, there's a little bit of differences in how we get to the end goal, but that's what's great because you could pick your poison. You pick what you like best, and that's what you run with. So you get to hear similar scripts, closes, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly.
And then you get to create your own based on the same principles that me and Jim are talking about.
Fantastic. Well, we'll be back with another broadcast tomorrow. And Tim, stick around. Wave goodbye to the audience.